its kind, perhaps. Pain. The traveler tried a carpenter, and daughter of a carpenter who was a carpenter's son. I wonder if her soul, how came on its eyes reached the tumbling ruin beneath its tender path, an encircling bulwark to such faith we put in its solidity. Merchant and marshal, but a wall is a false god, built to crumble, rifts, and the pus poured through. Oh yes, the final calamity, teeming with ruin, charnel, yes. For 40 days, we fought them on these steps. We knew the children would be next. And so, we flung out. Some were torn apart like green shoots in a glutton's teeth. Others, I stuck. It seethes around me. It waits to disgorge its grotesqueries. One, please, Paxlotek, wanderer, it who would do right. Put its edge to this. I shall greet death as an old friend, and we shall go hand in hand, destroy them. dream that I ever might again, much less feel the soft touch of good soil beneath my hooves, or the kiss of the wind on my free fur. Faithless, faithless have I been, and yet Paxaltec came, with war in its right hand, and temperance in its left. The Paxaltec came, and I am saved. Two-handed warrior. It has my allegiance, whatever may come. Paxaltec have a gift for death, this much is true, but they are not all destroyers. Perhaps if it fights with us, perhaps the root may yet be crushed under the wheel of time. Take this, though it be a relic of Welamer, stewards of death. Wield it in defense of life. No thanks is needed, for I think I shall linger here a while yet. Many are those who fell on these blood-soaked steps. No, some are now naught but bones. They each deserve the funerary rites of royalty. These I shall endeavor to complete with whatever time is left to me. If its road should ever wind this way again, grace me with a visit. There are yet tales of Yaesha, I might tell it. On the contrary, it has been ages since I felt so very much alive. Let us first be properly introduced. Once I was called Lich, foremost of the Lemir. High priest of the dead. How I gloried in that title. A funerary priest of the deathless, the highborn, one who wraps the powerful in glory, and a Muslim who seals the secrets of the eternal empress with sweet seed oil and with night sap. We guarded the flesh of the great and sought their resurrection. Among these trusted sacred Pan, I was the utmost. I relished it for many epochs. The highborn did not fear the flow of time, but there are other ways to die. Misadventure. If life could be taken, could it not be given back? This was the province of the Lemir. But let us start at the beginning. Much would I have it know. And to know all, it must know what is first. Would it hear the history of the Pan? In the time before time, the Pan lived in the place that was. It is said that there came a great plague that ravaged the land so that the fields were seeded only with the bones of the dead and yielded only the cries of the bereft. With his flock drowning in woe, the leader of the Pan held forth a great decree. 100 ships were built to hold 10,000 souls, with their god of many faces cutting the waves before them. The Pan that were ventured across the Vilkmarza, the dark sea, through the long night. The Vaughnts prayed and the Red Widows wept, for no one knew if the dark sea had a far shore. 100 days lit the 100 ships, and 100 nights drew their swaddling across them too. But on the 101st day, as the Red Widow in the foremost ship bowed her horns to the god of many faces, a bird lit between them, singing, "Glory to the Pan, for They have reached the king, mother. Yaesha rose like the dawn before them, unseen, untamed, and free. The god of many faces had been with the Pan since the place that was. Longer. None speak of a time before its guardianship. It was a god as real as the soil beneath us. A god one could visit, a god one could touch. Its ways were not known, but all agreed it loved us and ever would. More would I have it here of this, the king who was, him known to the Pan as Kolket the War-handed. Later, Kolket the Woe-begone, and at last, as Kolket the Wise. Quick of blade was he in his youth, a fearsome general who watered the tree of progress with the lifeblood of many enemies. But the exploits of youth brought Kolket no peace in age. They say he took the plague as fate's judgment against his warlike eye. Fate offered a choice: flee the land of his fathers, or end his line as the king of death. Kolket hesitated no more in pilgrimage than he had in war. He raised up ships as once he had raised regiments. He sailed from the place that was with a heart full of hope. He was never to see Yaesha's shores. He passed in peace before the crossing's end. In those days, there was no empress. There were no queens. Kolket the Wise passed on the dark sea and left no heir. It was only agreed that the clergy should step in where Kolket had stood. The Vaughns spoke for the many-faced one, and the Red Widows spoke for the sun, stone, sky, and stream. It had been ever thus. Now, they linked hands to cradle the destiny of the Pan. For 80 days, the Vaughns fell prostrate upon Yaesha's unfamiliar shore. They prayed for a sign that our searching was over, and that this forest should be ours. On the 80th day, two forms emerged from the depths of the jungle. First came a doe with coat of red. Where it walked, the soil gave forth flowers and sweet berries, and they took it as a sign of grace. But behind the doe came another, a wolf with fur as lightless as the obsidian waves the Pan had so lately crossed. Surely, this great beast was a portent of death. Yet, desperate were these threadbare priests of old, and of these visions to their charges, these Vaughns spoke only one. And why not? The doe fills all who glimpse it with a spirit of hope and a sense of growth. It leaps among the shrub and bramble even now, even with Yaesha sundered by the root. There are those who think it more than a spirit, a god in waiting. These call themselves the children of the Red Doe. The carpenter's daughter was one such. May her faith be rewarded. May her spirit roam the forest alongside the doe forever free. Those who glimpse the doe often glimpse the wolf, for the latter seems compelled to pursue the former. Yet, to hear those early Vaughns tell it would be to hear of many different wolves in pursuit, and only one doe. A simple deception, but a far-reaching one. Modern Pan know the truth. What must it be to spend an eternity chasing that which one might catch but may not kill? For the wolf and the doe have often met, antler and tooth, hoof and claw. The doe may spill the wolf's blood, and the wolf may taste the doe's flesh, but never the other's life to take. Yaesha itself forbids it. With the assurance of the Vaughn's, the Pan took to Yaesha and she to us. And for a time, there was stillness. Men were born who had never known the land that was, nor the endless sea at their backs. One such was called Genus. She was but 15 springs when she felt the calling of the Red Widows, and not 3 more when she felt the touch of sickness. As Genus approached the door of death, she sought her sisters, for there were no Laner yet, and it was the Red Widows who ushered the Pan into the soil. But Genus's malady was known to the Widow Mother, to her, to the Elder Pan. It seemed the plague had found them again, even on this distant shore. Genus was shunned, cast out into the jungle, and her name was forbidden from Pan lips. None among them could have foreseen what would come next. Plague-ridden and scorned, the Red Widow Genus had been cast into the jungle to be forgotten. But fate had other plans. After many days in the jungle, Genus emerged. The Pan were humbled, for all signs of plague had been lifted from the young Genus, replaced by a regal gait none could deny. Fascinated, all assembled to hear her tale. And quite a tale it was. Genus spoke of a vision that had come upon her as she lay in the moss, gasping out her last. In her vision, the plagues had returned. Pan, young and old, wailed and keened and spat their last blood on Yaesha's pristine sand. But then, when all seemed lost, a great tree rose out of the jungle, strange and wonderful, and heavy with luminous fruit. This tree, the Thane, she named it, gave all who ate of it a life unending. The Pan embraced it, and their glory stretched on for 1,000 epochs. Genus rose to power on this. Inspired, built of words, by spreading her message of doom and salvation. The Red Widows were easy converts, inclined to believe their sister, and eager to spread her vision to all the Pan. In time, they held more sway than even the Vaughn's. It was a great shift. It would not be the last. Among the Red Widows, Genus was quickly elevated to Widow Mother. The crops flourished, and the villages spread. The jungle receded from the street. It is difficult to say. Genus has had charge of her own legend for an age of ages. Suffice to say, there is enough truth to her vision for me to know her personally, though I was born some 30 mothers hence, and yet, in knowing her, I find its question impossible to answer. But we get ahead of ourselves, two-handed one. Many seasons passed, and Genus grew stooped and limed as all Pan before her had. In her 77th winter, Genus had another vision. The Thane called to her, and she told her people it was time to seek it out, for the calamity was imminent. 500 Pan were assembled to undertake the expedition. Genus herself, a contingent of Red Widows, a party from each of the villages, Many imagined they would never see their queen again. Those that lived long enough came to know the taste of those words. When Genus, now as young and beautiful as the day she first beat death, emerged from the jungle once more, with 49 immortals at her back. She had been reborn a second. For years they searched the forest. Many succumbed to death by the 21st spring. It was they. It was no plague has touched the Pan since. Unless I am much mistaken, the Empress lives yet. For no funerary smoke has filled the sky with that great geniuses. What of the great? But none worry. No achievement seemed beyond. It was then. But the story of Yaesha, E49, they traded favor with the Empress, traded years of life. They called it, sprang fear. There were those who would have seen the beast, but the green things up. Who knew? It was that for the vault, it was the balance return. The song of all living, it bear me. The vaunts, they played those. Even a Paxel, who is to say? The thing for many, she had a why cracked the very bit, but it will now. Perhaps what came next. Rebellion, insurrection, revolt. This was the fire that was to sweep through Yaesha's jungle. For a life of lifetimes, the eternal Empress had hidden the decline of the Thane tree, but like the vaunts of old, had underestimated the power of one young, plague-addled Red Widow. Genus herself failed to foresee the power of one called Navun. Navun was one of her eternity's own guards. How she learned of the rot at the roots of the Thane tree, I cannot say. I know only that she had no taste for the Empress's deceptions. Navun fled the ziggurat and spread the news far and wide. Her words found home in the ears of the gull. Yaesha's slave caste. No slaves could hope to challenge the power of an immortal aristocracy. But what about a nobility in disarray? One where the great and powerful would soon fight for scraps of fruit like bare-ribbed dogs. They rose. First singly ever was Gina served by the Red Widows. She was still Widow Mother. Is still, if such a thing has any meaning now. Some among the widow's ranks forswore tenderness and became instead her permanence's highest guard. Genus herself had been the lowest widow in her order, and she had turned Pan's. How fitting, then. It bridled when I called it God-murderer. Surprised I am that it should know so little of the deep track its kind had. Let us walk those prints now. It has heard of Yaesha civil war, of slave with blade of hoe to neck of noble, and noble with point of sword to belly of slave. Into that tempest walked one of its kind, Paxotech. I cannot say why, though, whatever its motive. Hither came the destroyer, even as the Pan turned their ravenous gaze toward our god of many faces, remained satisfied with the scant worship of the vaunts, and it was an ever-present comfort. A guardian, the destroyer, Paxotech, oh yes, its kind. We knew not that it was the god of many faces who kept the root from this world. But in death, many faces' absence was soon felt. In her world already torn, travelers spoke of twisted horrors on the road. Who knew that the very air could rip? That the world itself could tear, and oh, how we fought. Priest and prince and pauper, side by side, our world's lifeblood, drizzling through our most perished. I thought our tale told, our race run. I gave the impression perhaps that Yaesha was uninhabited at the arrival of the Pan, save for the doe, the wolf, the birds, and the beasts. This is not so. The Rin slink Yaesha's canopy on leathery wings. Perhaps they want not to defend their forest. But Lash and Lure put that to rest. Lash in that no Rin could hope to withstand the onslaught of energy we Pan have learned to draw from. The Flying Ones have no talent for crystal craft. Lure in that under normal circumstances, Rin eggs reach maturity. I know not who first discovered the potential for, only that it is as sure as there is iron in the soil of Yaesha, there is irony. It was a pad-footed Paxeltech who slew our guardian and brought the root. Would it be so, perhaps as with Genus and the Voon? The strangeness is the point. It has done me a service unpayable. No Colquet brought war. Its forebears brought the root, but its wisdom stayed the flames, that I might live. Take this now, as a token of my... The Pan must put their faith in action. I forever to them. I'm a